All right, Dean Norris, you made it this close to the Breaking Bad finish line, but you were struck down 2 episodes before the end. There was that ruthless desert gun battle in that episode, Ozymandias. What was your reaction when you read that script and you discovered your character's ultimate fate?
Man, I had known what my character's fate was going to be because Vince Gilligan had sat me down and went through the whole thing with me. So I knew, what was going to happen. But reading that final scene was just, it was surreal, man, because we'd been doing it for 6 years, and I knew it was. It's like I said, I knew it was coming, almost
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, yeah, we talked about it, and he said, "Yeah, I'm probably going to die somewhere in the, sixth or seventh episode of the last eight." And he said, "I couldn't tell you a whole lot, but I could tell you you'll die with your dignity." So I thought he kind of did, which was nice that they had kind of written it that way. But yeah, when you finally read it, um, it was weird, man. It's weird to see a character that you played for 6 years, get shot and die.
Right.
So it was surreal. But I loved the lines they gave me to go out with. So
Oh, yeah. And you did play him for 6 years, and you knew him inside and out. What do you miss the most about playing Hank Schrader?
I mean, as an actor, I missed that level of script. I mean, it's something that we all know that we may never be lucky enough to get to do again. But for Hank Schrader, I kind of missed some of the early Hank Schrader. It was a lot more fun playing Hank Schrader the first two seasons. It was really depressing playing him from season three on. Um, it was good, I mean, as an actor, but really, it would kind of affect my own mood, just because he was such a dark place for so much of the last half of that series, and you wanted to kind of give it all you got because you're dealing with Breaking Bad, and so it seemed like I felt like it depressed me, quite honestly. So I'm not sure I'll miss that part of it, but I will miss getting that level of script.
Yeah. And your character was always one step behind evil mastermind Heisenberg. Did
Yeah.
you kind of just talked about this, but did you enjoy being in the dark? Did you enjoy, following the story with the character, or would you have rather played somebody in Walter White's meth empire, like a Gus or a Mike or someone like that?
Yeah, no, I loved, I guess it's just part of the fate of being an actor. You just fall in love with your characters. I love the fact that he was the hapless, not hapless because he really was good at what he did, but the guy who was always just one, step away from the thing. And they did his character this favor, I think, of always making him be, smart enough. I mean, he figured out the Jesse Pinkman, he figured out the Gus Fring, he figured out the this, the that, so he wasn't, and we talked about that a lot, that we didn't want him to be, a kind of a doofus, but, I thought it gave him a lot of humanity, because certainly when we started the character, he was a real blowhard, a real, big talker, big mouth kind of guy. And I thought that him never kind of getting there, it was we always, I mean, I read Moby Dick during the filming of it, and we talked a lot about the Ahabness of, the Captain Ahabness of this guy always just one step behind this great whale.
Right.
And that, I think, that gave that character, at the end of the day, it gave him his humanity. It allowed him, there was something very everyman in that guy, because who does really figure it all out, and we always, I think at least feel like, much the way Walter White in his real life felt like he maybe didn't get what he deserved as smart as he was, and that finally, through cooking meth, he kind of got, he became alive. And I think Hank too in a way was a guy that, just he wasn't the superhero. He wasn't the great cop, and that somehow it just allowed me to understand him as a character and as a real human being more.
Even though your character didn't make it to the end, I loved in the finale there was that moment where Walt is walking in the house and he has a flashback to the pilot and the scene where you're on the couch. And did you know that they would have that, or was that kind of a surprise to you that they would flash back to your character from the pilot in the finale?
Yeah, I knew that. We actually were talking about actually coming back to film something. So I knew, and then they decided that they would just make it a flashback of stuff that they had already shot. So I knew that something of that sort was going to happen, and actually had been prepared to possibly, kind of film a flashback. We were all prepared for that, and then they decided just to use old stuff. So.
Mm. And tell us a little bit about, Breaking Bad winning the Emmy for Best Drama Series. I was there. I was in the press room when it happened. A lot of the journalists actually stood up. These heartless journalists stood up and applauded. And you guys all took to the stage together and kind of celebrated together. What was all of that like, that whole night?
It was fantastic, man. And, it just, we always felt we were the little engine that barely could. I mean, we barely made it on the air. We barely stayed on the air. We were always in the shadow of our older brother, Mad Men,
Right.
And we always just kind of felt that because everyone on that show loved what we did. We loved our own stuff that we did. We loved the show as a whole. And I really can say, man, everyone on that show loved the other people in it, mm-hmm. which is rare. and so, but we always felt that we didn't quite get, because we weren't even nominated the first, I don't know, year or two maybe, I'm not sure. And we always felt that, gosh, no one, is getting it the way we are. No one's getting the show, and we love it so much, and no one seems to love our little baby, Mm-hmm. And I always felt kind of, just a little heart, for Vince, because because I thought I think he deserved that kind of recognition. And so when finally, after several years, we finally get it, it was really a joyous kind of fun, just it was fun to have, it was fun. Everyone just enjoyed it, and I think it was nice.
And then being in the acting industry for so long, winning a SAG award as part of the ensemble of Breaking Bad, that must have just been the icing on the cake too.
Yeah, that was great too. Obviously, as an actor, you just love to have love to have other actors kind of dig what you do. I mean, it's a sad commentary, maybe. I'm not sure on what we do, but really, there's nothing that makes me happier than if another actor that I respect thinks that what I do is decent. Really, that makes me happier than anything in the world. And so to get that collectively as the SAG award was really something that we all felt really happy about.
And unlike most TV shows, Breaking Bad was able to tell a complete story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that was, thanks to AMC really supporting you guys and giving you an end date. What was it like when you found out, this will be the end of the show, we'll have this many episodes left to finish the story out?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all were. I was happy about it. I know that Vince was, because that's really all that Vince had asked for. When we were talking to him, he'd say, "Look, all I want to do is," I think at that point we were calling it the Lost scenario, where they knew 2 seasons ahead of time that they were going to go out.
Yeah.
He said, "All I want to do is be in their same situation, where I can know that it's going. I don't care if it's 2 seasons from now, 3, whatever it's going to be, how many episodes it is. I don't care. I just want to know early enough." That we're going out, and they kindly gave us that. So it was great for him. He was able to plan it. We were all kind of in our minds able to kind of start thinking through, 2 years ahead of time what the end of the show was going to be like, but none of us really expected how great Vince and those writers would put together that final 8. Seriously, I'm not. I know I'm biased, but man, they really knocked out of the park with those final 8 episodes. So.
And is there any part of you that wishes maybe it could have lasted longer, maybe a few episodes longer, maybe a few seasons longer?
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't there be a part of you that want, you know what I'm saying? But on the other hand, there is something really nice about ending it and the crescendo of awesomeness that they did, and there was so much work creatively able to put into just a finite number of episodes. I think that was part of the reason it ended that way. I mean, creativity and that kind of stuff. It's just part of it's just a function of time. I'm sure as a writer, or if you either have a day to do it or you have a week, and the fact that they had this time to really put all their efforts, and everybody had time to put all their efforts into these final 8 things. I think it was part of why they were as good as I think they were. So yeah, you'll always wish, but on the other hand, I think it's much better to have kind of gone out and look back and go, wow, we didn't leave anything on the table, man. We, for better or for worse, we got nothing left.
Right. We have a fan question from Awardzilla. What is your favorite episode of Breaking Bad?
Wow. Other than every one of them, I still go back. I loved the first episode of the last 8, and I loved Ozymandias when for me when I died. But and the first episode of the final 8, where I get to confront Walt in the garage.
Oh, yeah.
But if I look back, really, it goes back to season 3, 1 minute, episode 7, where I felt Hank finally became a whole character. He finally became a real person. You saw the sadness that really was a part of who he was. All the kind of bravado had kind of bled away, and he was just left this kind of sad guy on the edge of his bed, talking to his wife, telling her that he just wasn't this guy that he thought he was, And it gives me chills now to think about that. It's a beautiful episode, I thought. I mean, a lot of people remember the axe and all that big crazy scene at the end of it, but for me, the long scene where he just sits with his wife and says, God, man, I've been trying, I've really tried, and I've been eaten up inside, and it's horrible, and I just don't think I'm the man that I thought I was. I thought that's when he kind of is like, oh, okay, this is this Hank guy now. Now he's a human being,
And then Alex wants to know what was it like working with Betsy Grant all those years?
Oh man, she's so funny in real life all the time on set, and so that was great. But just something about her, and just like immediately we kind of hit it off. I just felt so safe and comfortable with her, and we had so many scenes where that was important. Like she's wiping my butt, cleaning my whatever, but a lot of other ones, and it was so everybody on that show, but really, since I had so many scenes particular with her, it was so comforting to know anytime I was going to come in or we were going to come in and do a scene, that it was her I was looking at, what I'm saying? Her across, like her across from the thing, this person that I really, really loved and respected in real life, and I miss her all the time, and I'll always miss her, not only as a person when I see her, in real life, but always miss getting to do stuff on there.
And switching gears, season 2 of Under the Dome premieres June 30th on CBS. Yeah. And I know you're like 3/4 of the way through.
Yes.
Is there anything you can tease about the season premiere? We know that's written by Stephen King, but that's really all that we know. I don't know if you want to spoil anything or just tease her.
Yeah, all I can say is that the big we're well beyond the book at this point, and Stephen King is now having the fun of getting to take these characters into a different kind of place than he ever got to do with the book. And part of that is having this Big Jim character kind of have I call it a come to Dome moment, where he kind of has if you will, a religious, he has like these ghosts visit him. It's almost like the ghosts of Christmas past and present. And it's kind of even a little funny like that, because there's this really, tough guy, and he's all of a sudden having to be scared of these ghosts. But there's this moment in the first episode where he kind of has a realization, kind of a religious realization, and that changes him, and that kind of propels the character for the rest of the season. And it really makes it a lot more fun to play.
And Big Jim is very different than Hank Schrader. Big Jim, he's a liar, he's a swindler, and he's a murderer as well. What is it about playing such a frightening, intimidating character that attracted you to that role?
Just exactly what you said, that he was very different from Hank Schrader. Not only the character itself, but also obviously the scope of the show. I mean, it's just in a different universe than Breaking Bad is, you know. And one part of you would say, well, I'm going to try to do something, you know, on the same level, or try to get in that same kind of thing. And I thought, you know, anything I would do that was anything close to trying to be intense, cool, hip, whatever you want to call it, cable show, would always get compared unfavorably to Breaking Bad. So better to just do something that was, you know, a popcorn summer movie, you know, like a Transformers for TV, you know what I'm saying? And that's what this was. It was a big epic. It's not, you know, as intense. It's not the real, you know, it's a fun summer show. And Big Jim is a fun summer character, you know. It's just a guy you get to just chew up the scenery with and have fun with. And that's what he's meant to be. So it's a lot of fun getting to play that guy.
Our editor Ralph Galvin, he wants to know what are the major differences between acting on cable and acting on network. Do you think if Big Jim were on AMC or on HBO or something like that, that he would be more violent and kind of more ruthless?
Yeah, he might be. I mean, there's certainly always that part of it in terms of the cable, but I think it's more of a kind of a profound, or if you were, a more profound difference in that, you know, it's the difference between broadcast with the word broad in it, as in large, as in, you know, versus the niche cable kind of shows that they can do, you know. I think that's really the essence of it. The writing is going to be such that, you know, they want to bring in. We bring in close to 20 million people a week on that show. Around the world, it's literally 100 million people. It's the most watched show in the whole world. It was ridiculous when we found that out. You know what I'm saying? It was like, what? It was like there were three others: CSI, NCIS, and Under the Dome. And I was like, oh, okay. So I think it's that, you know, and we still get to do the same. And for the Big Jim character, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference, because they just make him. I just play him crazy, you know. He gets to be a crazy guy, you know, from one week, you know, to the next. He gets to do all kinds of weird and crazy things. So I think that is really the difference. It's more in the type of material that you're doing on broadcast versus what you're going to bring to it on a cable show, you know.
And then we have a fan question from Misty. Is there anything in your eyes that Big Jim can do to find redemption at this point?
God, that's a great question, because that's exactly what we try to answer starting off in the first episode. The one thing that Big Jim, there's two things about Big Jim, and both of these things play a really big role this year. He loves his son, as crazy as he is. But he still loves them, and you know, it's just I happen to have 5 kids, and you know, some of them are crazy now. You know, you love your kids, you know, whatever they do. I bet if my kid unfortunately ever were to be a murderer, I would hate it, but I would still love him and try to get him out of jail. I think, you know, it's your kid, you know, and Big Jim loves them, and that is a kind of a key thing that is at play in the second season. And Big Jim loved his wife, who we think passed away, but may play a little. We may see a revisiting of that situation by a very good actress. And so that element is the thing that redeems, I think, the Big Jim character, is that he loves his son, and he loved his wife dearly, and would do anything for her.
And, you know, we just got word from History that you will be playing Benjamin Franklin, and there's a new miniseries called Sons of Liberty.
Yeah.
It's still kind of fresh, right? What can you tell us about this?
It's awesome. It's a 6-hour, I don't know if it's going to be 3 2-hour episodes or 6 1-hour episodes, but it's really a down and dirty, it's a much more realistic portrayal of these, of the early days of these kind of founding fathers. And Ben Franklin, man, was a crazy dude. He was a big drinker. He was a big womanizer. He apparently was a big exhibitionist, so he liked to show people his private parts. And when you think to yourself, wow, this is the guy that's on the $100 bill, you know, and the kind of sweet little face that you see. And in real life, that wasn't the case. He was a real crazy rebel kind of dude, in addition to, you know, being a pretty smart guy and figuring a few things out. So in the script, they really allow those elements to play out, and it was a real great read. And it's going to be, History has really, I think, has done a great job with their miniseries lately, and so I'm really excited about getting to do that.
Nice. Well, best of luck with that and with Under the Dome. And, we make a lot of predictions here at Go Derby, and a lot of people think that you have a really good chance for Breaking Bad for the supporting actor category. So we have our fingers crossed for you.
Thank you very much.
It'll be your first nomination. What would that mean?
Wow, I don't even want to think about it because that's just too crazy. I hope you guys are right, but I doubt it.
Well,
but thanks anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you guys.
Bye-bye.